Well, hi there, everybody. It's Get Moving Monday, even if you're in a part of the world where it isn't Monday yet. But we're about 11 o'clock on Monday morning here in Adelaide, South Australia. And for those that have jumped in and joining me, thanks for doing so. How's your weekend been? We've had a bout of coolish weather, but the last couple of days have been rain-free, even though we did badly need some rain here in Adelaide. Anyway, enough of that. Moving Monday. Monday is moving day. What's it all about? Well, if this is your first time joining me on Monday is moving day. The idea behind this basically is to set some course of action in train for this week. And hi, Liz and Phil, glad you could join us. The idea is that rather than just ambling through the week, actually begin with some form of intent to actually commit to taking some action that's going to move your online coaching business forward, so that by the time we get around to Saturday, which is High Five Saturday, you've actually got something to celebrate. And there's nothing like taking action to give you a sense of control over your future, rather than just simply responding to events. Now, in recent broadcasts that I've been doing, I've really focused on the early stages of the business, understanding that we are in a business to solve problems for other people. And it's really important at the outset that you understand exactly what the problem is that you are trying to solve for your clients in your particular niche. We talked about the journey from their point A, which is their point of frustration, the point where they're experiencing problems, and understanding what the journey will be to get them to a desired state, which is point B, where they're feeling okay with the world. They've implemented the coaching or the training that you provided in a series of steps and stairs, and their situation has actually been resolved. So I'm not going to go over that again, but I will at some point in future, because actually understanding the problem so that you can implement the right solution is actually quite critical. Carly's with us too. Good to see you, Carly. So what I want to talk about today is I want to recap a little bit on the actual designing of your content. And last week I showed you the entire system. I just want to recap on that. So I'm going to have a go at sharing my screen again, and we'll get this little PowerPoint up and running, hopefully. So this is what we looked at last week, and I'm going to also just try something else here. Just bear with me. The wonders of technology, hey? Just hang about. Meeting controls, and I stop my video. All right, let's go back to the shared screen. So this is what we were talking about last year, is that your core program is going to consist of a series of lessons of coaching, which is going to move your clients from their point A to point B. So you're going to be teaching, whether it's 8 or 10 or 12, it's your program, and it's your understanding of your client's needs, which will determine exactly how many lessons you're going to teach. We talked last time also about what really stops online coaches from proceeding with this is that they think they are locked into continually providing and having to develop content, whereas I'm talking about a model here where you create one core program and you teach it live first time, and then you record each of those teachings, and then you can then continue to repeat offering that program, but what people will be getting instead of live content is the recorded version. So if we just go back and go forward a little bit, so if you're actually getting started, it's really important that you do your planning. So the object is teach your 8, 10 or 12 lessons live. And I talked about an example last week. Let's say your audience is music lovers, and this is something that's personal to me. I tried to do this a few years ago to learn how to play a guitar, and I got overwhelmed with information, and it all became too hard. But if your target audience is beginners, what you're aiming to do is to provide just the right content at the right time to help them get started. So a course for beginners. So let's imagine that you think that this is going to take 10 or 12 lessons to actually do. So you begin with this planning matrix. What do people need to learn? That's the question, and in what order? So if we look at an outline here, possibly for a beginner, they know not too much about guitars, they're not even sure about the type of guitar they want to play. So your first lesson could be, well, what are your options to learn to play guitar? Is it an acoustic guitar? Is it electric? Is it bass? Is it rhythm? Again, you need to talk through a beginner what those particular options are. And then maybe guiding them through that selection process, even to the point about where you maybe direct them to places where they can actually buy a guitar. You might have a deal with a retailer where you might be able to get people special deals and those sorts of things. And while they're in the shop, what will be the things that they need to actually get started? So they might need picks, they might need I'm trying to think what else, maybe covers for it. You might need a digital tuner, all of the things that they need to get started, which make getting started just that much simpler. The first lesson, when they've actually got their guitar in hand, which in this case is your lesson 4, would be methods of tuning your guitar. And moving on from that, how to read some basic guitar notes and to begin practicing them. Then moving on to formal practice sessions for scales, which often just involve playing simple tunes. Moving on to lesson 7, where you actually give them some simple tunes to play on. Then introduce them to more advanced tunes, introduction to chords, practice playing chords. Now the idea here is, and you've basically got 2 options for a coaching program. You can just design the lessons and sell the lessons. But what we know from experience is that the difference between somebody learning how to play a guitar and not learning how to play a guitar is actually to work with a coach. So in addition to providing these lessons, which you teach live first up and you record them, my strongest recommendation is build a coaching component into your 8 or 10 or 12 week course. So what does that mean? So if your course is running on autopilot and you're drip feeding this over that period of 8 or 10 or 12 weeks, each of those weeks you commit to doing a live Q&A session, right? Where they tune in like this to a Zoom session, where maybe you can get, and this would be in a small group setting, where you'll get people to maybe demonstrate to you playing chords. You can be looking at finger positions, and so on. And that Q&A session, where they have the opportunity to ask questions, where they get to talk to you live about the sorts of problems, is the sort of thing that is going to make a massive, massive difference to whether they can progress from being a complete newbie to guitar playing to somebody who actually knows how to do that. We've talked also that this particular model works like clockwork. And I gave you some examples that this model that I'm showing you is going to work for people who currently do coaching offline, teachers or instructors of any course. And that your 8-week course could look like what you're seeing on the screen there. What will you teach? Some concrete suggestions about how to set up a home studio. How do they go about developing a website? How do they create an order form so that they can get paid for their lessons? How to actually do a Zoom session, which until you get to know it can be a little tricky. I'm still learning the ropes. Interacting and supporting your clients, how to handle rebilling. And then, once you've got your business established, how to grow. That model can be used for any online consulting business as well. And again, I'll just repeat myself that I think the best model of all is that after you've recorded your lessons, or even with the first round when you're doing it live, you're basically committing to a couple of hours a week. The first one to actually deliver the session, and then on another day of the week holding maybe an hour's question and answer session which you conduct live and which you encourage people to come in. This accountability session, this problem solving session will make a massive difference to the outcome in your business. And of course, people sign up to your business not for information, they actually want results. So a guitar learner wants to learn, literally learn, and actually be able to play a guitar. They don't want to read a book about how to do it. They want somebody to actually guide them through some practice so that progressively they begin to see and experience the joy and the great thrill of being able to produce music on their own instrument. That's the model. So I guess the question, first of all, if you're still sitting on the fence about whether you've got the content or whether coaching online for you, is this the kind of thing for you? The question to ask yourself is, could you actually, with some time taken to prepare content like this, maybe a PowerPoint presentation, could you teach your class live, however many lessons it takes to get your clients the result that you promised? Could you turn on something like Zoom or OBS, which is a free version where you can do live streaming, or you can use a similar app on Mac, and you maybe turn on the PowerPoint or the Keynote, and there's a feature in PowerPoint where you can actually do presenter's view, where the audience sees your slide, but they don't see the notes, but you do. And it makes it simple, but you've got to do the content and the design first of all. So this is the model, just in case you missed it last week. So you design your sessions, you're going to deliver the first round on Zoom, you're going to teach people step by step. So the early planning and using a matrix, which I've provided within the group, you teach step by step. So you've got to work out what's the progressive order, what's the best order. And you'll actually then provide those lessons on your website, the recorded lessons, in a member area or other platform, other membership platform that you decide to use. And as I've mentioned, commit to doing that weekly live Q&A. The other benefit in adding a Q&A session when you actually add coaching means you can charge for your program. So there's two options here. You can just record the courses and sell it as a package where they just simply do it all themselves. They watch their lessons and they try and figure out how to do it all by themselves. But if you add a coaching component, that's an extra input of your time, and you can actually charge accordingly for doing that. Also, to be a coach who always gives value, it's really important that you provide on that website where they get the evergreen content, any extra tools, information or resources which is actually going to help them to get the result. Now, all of this design stuff is basically, it's a one-time task, and that's the beauty of doing business online. Once it's created and provided, it's always there for you to reuse and to repurpose. That's the beauty of it. There's such a magnificent opportunity to leverage your time. And once created, and once you continue to promote and sell this, I mean, this is basically creating a stream of income for yourself, which is literally on autopilot. And obviously the way that you go about teaching, have concern, have genuine care for your audience, which means that if you're doing a live session, that you teach like you've never taught before. Actually really care that your clients actually get results. I mean, after all, if someone's paying you $300 or $1,000 or even $1,500 for your course, you really want to care that they get the results that you promise. The results that you help your clients achieve is going to be essential to your reputation as a quality coach. And in the longer run, you're going to be wanting to get testimonials from clients who are delighted with what you've helped them achieve. And if people have achieved the result, they're more than happy to tell the world about it. And as we said, you record all these so that you can repurpose this. And so that's a standalone program package that you could offer. As I said, you've got two ways of doing that. You can just offer that package just by itself, minus the Q&A, or you can build in the Q&A as well. So that's the process. Now, what I want to do, and I'll just come back and I'll turn the video back on. What I want to talk about briefly is how long should your sessions be? Now, something that personally frustrates me a little bit with online program delivery is the amount of time that it actually takes to work through it. I use a Chrome extension which allows me to choose the speed at which I watch video and listen to audio. If you're not sure what I'm talking about, just do Chrome extension for video speed, and it makes a massive difference. But just understand too that while people are in lockdown at present and maybe have time on their hands, now often people are busy. So if you've got, let's say, a 10-part program, 10-lesson program, your first lesson doesn't necessarily need to be, your first lesson could be an hour. But in terms of you delivering your content, it could be 4 15-minute sessions. Or after you've delivered it the first time, using a video editor, break that content down into more easily manageable chunks. That way, you're making it easier for your clients, again, to achieve the result that you want them to achieve. So going back to that model, and this is really sort of leading on to Get Moving Monday content. What I want you to do, what I'd like you to do, is if you've never ever started the design process, commit this week to outlining the 10 lessons that you're going to teach. And for each of those lessons, what are the 6, 8, or 10 steps that you're going to teach in each of those lessons? And a starting point, and I guess I made a mistake when I first started doing this. So I figured, all right, well, the first lesson I've got to teach is lesson 1. And you get into the design process. I'm going to give you a tip here which will make a big difference to you getting some speed and some momentum up in actually designing your content. Once you've got your 6, 8, or 10, or 12 lessons, what I want you to commit to this week, if you've never done this before, is completely design, pick the easiest out of all those lessons that you think, the one that you think you'll have the most fun delivering, the one that will be easiest for you to put together some content. And what I'd like you to do and commit to do by the end of this week is actually to fully design your first lesson, fully as a part of that design, write down on your planning sheet the steps that you're going to teach in that first lesson and the order in what you're going to teach, and make some decisions about how you're going to teach that content. So is it going to be, like I do, using a PowerPoint where you actually pre-populate the PowerPoint with the words that you want to use? It could be that you've got an hour session, but you maybe want to do 15 or 20 minutes of video content, but you might have an ebook which you can put in, or you might want to write an article, or there might be an MP3, or there might be some YouTube videos that you can add to your membership area to supplement your own teaching. So your task for this week, to repeat, basically is to fully design and then create your first coaching lesson. Sounds easy, doesn't it? What's holding you back? All right, so that's my broadcast for this week. I'll just leave my page open for a minute or two. If there are any questions, just pop them into the chat there, and we'll do my best to answer them. In the meantime, something else that I'd like you to do, we're approaching 100 members. I think we're 89 or 90 at the moment. I would genuinely love it if you could invite at least one person to come into this group, someone that you know that would perhaps benefit from understanding how to put together their own online coaching or consulting program. And I would absolutely welcome, and we're going to have a big celebration when we actually hit 100 members. But my immediate target is to actually build the membership up to about 1,000 people, and I know that's entirely achievable. And with your help, we can just do it a lot quicker. All right, I can't see any questions there. I want to thank those that have jumped in and joined us today. This is a regular event on Mondays. Monday, Get Online Lab, the tribe for online coaches. We always at 11 o'clock on Mondays, Adelaide, South Australian time, have a Get Moving Monday session where we throw a challenge out for you to commit to a task which is going to make a difference in your business and in your life for the coming week. All right, so there's nothing else there that I can see, so I'm going to call it quits for today. Have a brilliant week. Keep popping into the group, and please encourage some others to join us, because we're on a terrific journey. All right, this is Anthony saying bye for now. Have a great week. Thank you.